Hello, friends. Well, it's one of those times where I just had to pull out the Peace and Love sweatshirt. Today's video is going to be kind of informal, and I want to share with you some of the kernels of wisdom that I have accumulated over my 67 years. I just had a birthday. I just turned 67. And offer them to you in the spirit of this full moon that is happening tonight, that where the earth and the moon are lighting up the gate 48 in the human design system, which is the gate of wisdom. And so in that spirit, I want to offer these kernels of wisdom for you in the spirit of unity consciousness and the understanding that we really are in this together, and that whatever one of us does impacts everyone else, and what other people do impact us. Not that we want to get all merged with people and so on, but just to recognize that we do influence each other and impact each other, and that it's time for us to come together to create a future for humanity that we would be proud to leave to future generations. So that's what this is going to be about today. We're going to go ahead and dive right in. There's a saying that I have used for many years, like probably 20 years. It's make peace with the past so you can come fully into the present and command the future. This is a saying that goes with feminine sovereignty, which is what my book is about. Some of you know it. Some of you have let me know how much you've appreciated reading it. Thank you. But this idea that we are often held back and tethered because we have not made peace with the past. And that prevents us from really being present in our lives. And when we're not present in our lives, we're not really able to create the future that we want to live in. So if we want to create a future that we'd be proud to leave to future generations, then we really do need to be in command of our energy. And in this really dynamic time that we're in right now, and April 2026 is going to be even more dynamic and accelerated and potent and transformative than we have had up until now. The astrology is pointing that way. The channels are pointing that way. The psychics are pointing that way, right? And if you tune into your heart of hearts, I think you'll be feeling it as well. And I want to make a distinction between either suppressing your past or rejecting your past and making peace with your past. And I feel that what is happening on our planet right now is really calling us to take a look at that. I want to give you a little bit of my personal experience, really for the last couple of years, that I hope might give you some perspective on things that you might be experiencing as well. Which is that I have really been in a underworld experience, which means that there's been a lot from deep inside of my substructure that I'm not aware of that has been coming to the surface to be released. And most of this that has come up in these last couple of years has been new information for me. Now, I have been on a spiritual healing and personal growth path for 30 years. So for me to have really new stuff come to the surface is a little surprising because I've been through a lot. You know, I was a clarity breath worker, did a lot of really deep spiritual healing work. So much came up out of my substructure to be released and to be healed. And then, you know, I've continued in all kinds of different ways with human design and Kundalini yoga and all of the different meditation practices that I do. But this was different. There has been a different character. And what I am aware of is that these have been imprints that came from other lives. They're not in the sense of present in this life experience. They are things that feel really ancient and very simple in a certain way things like confronting my own self-hatred, right? Ways that I can just find fault with myself, beat up on myself, decide that I'm unworthy, or decide that I'm not enough, or I'm too much, or all of those things. Right? That there, a bunch of that has just been coming up and coming out. Feelings about guilt or feelings of shame. I'm really not a shame-based person, and I don't really feel guilty. It's not something that I am really aware of. This is really deep in my structure. And I even just had something happen yesterday that came out, well, while I was doing a tarot reading for my birthday. And what came out of that was really from my deep structure. And it had to do with sorrow. It had to do with sorrow. And I immediately felt sorrow for what's happening in our world today. I don't know if you follow Kelly Kaladny. She's the angel lady, but she came on recently just really crying and sobbing and just saying, I feel so emotional about what's going on in the world right now, which is understandable, right? It's understandable. I mean, there's a war going on. I mean, we've had wars going on pretty much consistently, but this one is different, right? This one is different. It's very disruptive. It's very disturbing. It's upsetting. There a lot of people are being harmed. A lot of children, a lot of women. This is not like some kind of surgical strike that only hits military. It's not like that. And so here we are. This is part of what's going on. So when I had a little sorrow come up, I originally thought it was responding to what is going on in our world, which would make sense. But as I dug into it more and as I started to pay more attention to it, and as it was coming up, I realized it was really ancient. And that what's going on in our world today was stimulating this really deep sense of sorrow, because as of humanity, we have had a very tumultuous and, let's acknowledge, for the last 5,000 years, very violent and coercive cultures, right? That have not been in the service of the highest good of all people at all. Very much about hierarchy, right? And very much about patriarchy and that being a system of control that includes male supremacy, but also gets attached to racism and xenophobia and all kinds of other things. And so this has been our history. And a lot of what was coming up for me was sorrow about how hard the soul journey has been, my soul journey has been. And a deep sense underneath that sorrow, a sense of guilt that I wasn't able to make other changes in my other lives that I thought I should be able to do. Like, for example, save my family from a disaster, or save this group of women from being persecuted, or whatever, right? That I had took on for myself this sense that I should be able to have done this, protected these people, or done this thing. And I carried that with me, and the guilt along with the sorrow about not being able to protect these people or make this change or whatever it is. And what was really shown to me is that, Maggie, you never had a chance to do all those things. You never had a chance because it wasn't set up so that you could. There's always been a limit on anything you could accomplish. This is one of the things that's really coming out in the disclosure now, is how much we as humanity have been controlled, and how much we as a species have been suppressed, and have been kept away from our full deep healing and also our blossoming, really, as light beings having a human experience. Fortunately, that is changing, but this is our history. This is what we're evolving out of. And what I was told as I was feeling this sorrow, and then the guilt came, and I was like, wow, what is this all about? As that came up, I was really shown that guilt and sorrow deep in my substructure was keeping me attached to the past. It was like a tether keeping me to the past. And this is an ancient past, not just this life, but an ancient past. And we are going through an experience now where often the ancient past is rising to the surface. And it might be difficult to understand sometimes the intensity of something you might be feeling because you might not be able to locate it in your current life experience. So I want to offer to you that we are healing so many of our lifetimes, not just this one. We are healing so many lifetimes. I was told that this would happen during this life some 30 years ago when I first started connecting with my guides. And they told me actually at one point that I was going to be having multiple lives in this lifetime because there wasn't time for my physical body to die and be reborn again because we're on too much of an accelerated rate. So for you might have that experience. I've talked to a number of people who've had that experience where they say, yeah, I feel like I've lived multiple lives in this lifetime. So if you do have that sense, you're in good company because there are a number of us that are like that. But it helps us understand that reality doesn't really work the way that we were taught that it does. Right? For us to actually become aware of energy that is moving through us, that its seed point was many lifetimes ago. Okay, a completely different time. That's a lot for us to digest. So I just want to offer that to you if you've been feeling a lot of emotion, or you have a lot kind of going on inside of you and you're not really sure what it is. People would call these ascension symptoms because this idea of ascension, as I'm now understanding it and what I embrace about it, is it is simply the process through which we heal all the lifetimes. And another piece that my guides told me many years ago, again, was they said, reality is not what you think it is, and everything can change like that when the level of consciousness reaches a certain level on the planet. And that is actually what inspired me to go into not just participating in personal growth and spiritual healing, but actually having that become my profession, like what I do for others as well as for myself. Because I realized when enough people get there, everything's going to change. Well, guess what? That's where we are right now. I didn't know that was what was going to happen. But that's where we are right now. I really do believe that. And the number of people who are choosing at this point to say no to violence, to say no to meanness, to say no to coercion, to say no to discrimination of whatever sort it is rising and rising and rising. Because the choice points are becoming very, very clear. I feel that the rise of authoritarianism that we're seeing, that's really loud in media, really loud on the world stage, is yes, it's a last gasp of the old order, but it's also, its higher purpose, if you will, is to make the distinction and the choice point as clear as absolutely possible. Are you going to go with this kind of energy? Are you going to go with this kind of energy? And I know that if you are here listening to what I have to share, if you've been to my channel before, you're going this way, right? You're more for kindness. You're more for connection. You're more for collaboration. You're more for a world that works for everyone. You might not know how to get there, right? You might be like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to completely get there, right? But I know that that is the trajectory that I want to give my energy towards. And as we do that, we do have to continue to clear the parts of us that keep us from being able to evolve into that next stage, which is right here, right now for us. So making peace with the past so we can come fully into the present is a little more complicated maybe than it was when I first thought that, right? Is making peace with the past has many different layers. So I want to encourage you to really take good care of yourself. Make sure that you are resourcing yourself in all of the ways that's possible. Lots of good breathing, lots of good sunshine, lots of good food and water and company. so that you are well resourced, so that you can meet the challenges of today, so that you can make peace with the past. Because what I have been able to develop over these couple of years, as I said, where just stuff has kept coming up, has learned to recognize when something that is deep inside, because here's the truth, which you probably know, but let me just say it, is that when we suppress our emotions, or we suppress our energy, or we have trauma and we go into like bracing and it's like, oh my God, that's a lot, right? That energy doesn't go away. It just goes deeper into our substructure. And if you can imagine doing that over and over and over again through this life, through other lives, there's a lot down there. So this is what's coming out, but the more that we can learn to become more of a flow through system. I know that sounds kind of funny. I learned that phrasing towards me from Susan Harper, who was one of my continuum teacher. She's a master teacher of continuum movement. And to recognize that our human form is really designed to have energy running through it all the time. She will say that the body is not an object. The body is literally thousands, probably hundreds of thousands of processes happening simultaneously all the time, continually, right? Is that we're just constantly in motion. We're all processes. We're not this object, right? We're moving. Everything's moving all the time. And so when we can allow everything to move, right? I was able to shift that energy within about a half an hour yesterday. Like it came up, I went out for a walk, I went into it, I felt it, I had a cry, right? But then I also was like, okay, let me go deeper into my heart. What is this guilt about, right? Then I sat at the base of a tree for a few minutes and I just kind of went into it and I felt it and I could feel the energy move. And let's also remember that trees are flow-through systems, right? Sunlight comes down, water comes up, magic happens in what happens inside of trees with photosynthesis and, feeding all the birds and everything under the ground. I mean, trees are amazing. And so we are similar to that. And the more that we can just let the energy move through us, the happier we're going to be. And that's what enables us to become present in the present moment. Is whatever energy is ready to move, we move it, and then we come deep into the heart where it is quiet and it is loving and it is still and it is the ultimate presence. The ultimate coming into the present. It's coming into that neutral, still point in the center of the heart. So this is what we're practicing, right? And the better we get at being able to feel and let the energy move. Breath work is great for this. Like I said, I went up for a walk yesterday. I needed a walk. I needed to move my whole physical body because I'm very embodied. And so I need to really move my body to move energy. But breathing works really well. I think doing something physical is a good idea, bouncing or riding on a bike or something to help energy move. Crying is also good. So find what works for you to be moving energy. You're going to be so much happier than if you try to think your way into feeling better. Because the truth is you probably can't. I can't. Most of us can't, right? We have to feel. We have to be in our bodies and allow ourselves to feel so that the energy moves and then we get more space inside of us. And it's when we can come into that still place and we can expand our own soul essence in our physical form, right? When we can do that, that's when we can command the future. Because we're in the potent frequency, if you will, of really our soul essence or your higher self or the light being within. And that part of you can command the future. And that part of you is trying to guide you right now, every day, to guide you into the best possible future that is available to you. And all you really need to do is learn to listen, to learn to feel what those impulses are, and then to follow them. They're not going to be rational. They're not going to be reasonable. They're probably going to be inconvenient. Okay. But they are the direction that is coming from the deep place inside of you instead of what your mind tells you or what other things in the outer world are telling you. And this will give you relief from giving too much of your energy to things that are happening really far away from you that are very upsetting. You want to be able to come back in, get into that neutral place. Not that you're in denial, not that you're saying, oh, that stuff isn't, no, you can be present to it, but not allowing it to come in and grasp and take a hold of you and drag you down. And that is the choice point that we have, right? Is will we go with a trajectory that uplifts, even if we don't know exactly where it's going? Do we have the courage and the inner stamina to meet the challenges, right? To meet the challenges with some kind of equanimity, right? And then to take the actions that we know we need to take in order to bring about that world that we would be proud to leave to future generations. So April is a really big month for this. Today is the full moon. If you watch this, I'll release this tomorrow on April 2nd. You'll still be in the full moon energy. You can use that to tap into your own wisdom. You can use that to move into more balance because it's a Libra full moon. You can use it to become more aware of beauty because Libra is also about beauty. And the more that we can be orienting to beauty, to life, to joy, to camaraderie, right? To the life-giving ways of being rather than the death and destruction ways of being, the more that's what's going to manifest in your life individually first, but then also in the collective. And this is our opportunity. So I invite you to pay attention. We have massive Aries energy this month, and we're in the year of the fire horse. And so things are moving fast. They're going to move faster and faster. And the really good news for you is that you'll be able to clear easier and faster. Okay? So I want to send you all of my love and my blessings and say you really do have what you need in order to be able to face what's going on right now. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So trust yourself, believe in yourself, listen to what's going on inside of you. Let your inner being or your wise one within be your guide rather than all of the mishigas that's happening in the media and social media. If you are among those of us who are in a safe enough place and have our resources so that we can do this powerful inner work, I believe that those of us who have the ability to do this, we have a responsibility to do it for the collective. I've always felt that way. And so I want to offer that to you. If you have a life where you are safe and you have the resources that you need, when you do your inner work, you are doing it for the collective. And when you also have that intention, it also amplifies what you do. All right, I will be back with another video before too long about the Aries new moon that's coming up later in the month. In the meantime, take good care, love yourself, listen to what's going on, be kind to other people. People are, amped up, tweaked, scared, excited, whatever. Just be kind with each other, like give each other space. One friend of mine says it's have mercy. All right, my friends. Many blessings. Much love.